Yes, viewers and listeners, welcome to Maxton Radio, and today we are having a show called The Last Word. The Last Word is a show hosted by your host and your favorite one, Tony, and we shall be looking into quite a number of issues that run across the country, and this will be an opportunity for our guests to have their last say or the last word on whatever is trending in the media or in the social media and all over, whether it is political, whether it is family, whether it is church, whatever is trending, we will have our last word. And today I have a guest, very interesting one, my brother Maxwell Pala.
Yes.
Yes, Papa Max.
Yes.
Karibu kwa show.
Nashukuru sana.
It's been long, bana.
It's been long and we've been waiting for this time and this moment here it has come.
Yes.
Let's kick it.
How is out there?
It is cold. The weather is cold, but the political temperatures are steaming high.
I know they are really doing around
very
40,
high.
40
very
centigrade.
high. It is the last lap.
Okay.
And everyone is up and running.
Yes, Papa Max. I want us to look at today we're going political.
Oh, yeah.
And you see the way the country is going.
Yes.
We are having elections in the next, I think 8 days.
Almost. We are almost to the date.
They're almost to the election date.
Yes.
And I want us to look at all the 4 candidates.
Yes.
That is the presidential candidates.
Okay.
And then we'll have some small time just look at the gubernatorial candidates of Nairobi.
Yeah.
So what do you think generally about the political temperatures right now?
As we speak, things are heated up.
Yeah.
And everyone is trying to make sure that he can consolidate that one vote that is left. So everyone is up and running, campaigns are high. You can see guys hitting like 4 areas in a day, 5 areas in a day. Hapa tu ni chopa, kupanda, kushuka, kuinuka, kushuka.
Yeah, in fact, the consumption ya choppers, but this season it has been so high.
So high. I'm really surprised that Kenya we own this number this much. This is a lot. Ni kama chopa zimeanza kupiga magari kwa.
Yeah, miona in fact during election ndio utajua kweli Kenya kuna wale watu wa kusema kuna pesa. Kabisa. Because you see the behavior of the politicians right now wako all over and they are using choppers. Unapata wengine wanatumia magari zingine very heavy.
Wazimu.
Yeah, so Kenya imejipanga in some way.
Tumejipanga, but it's too unfortunate that we can only see these things when we are having the election season. And probably we would also wish to have the same impact on the ground whenever Kenyans are crying out and they are in need.
Yes.
But we rarely see such. If the same energy that is being put in the during this election season can also be put through the leadership, through the time we are expecting our leaders to step up, I think we'll be far.
Yeah, I think we are in a place where we'll get to that. But let's go to the topic of today. We want to look at the 4 presidential candidates. And I want us to look at the David Mwaure, this candidate called David Mwaure. What do you think about him as a person, the way he entered politics, and up to the moment, how is he doing right now?
I know this is a new face in the Kenyan politics.
Yeah.
And I don't think so many people know about him. And I know so many voters are struggling to understand who he is.
Yes.
And also in regards to his campaigns, he hasn't done much, as according to me. He hasn't done much because I can say he has not gone through the whole country. He's just managed to reach out to some parts of the country. And probably this is because of his financial muscles do not allow him to travel and walk everywhere because it's an expensive exercise. Also, I look at him as someone who's trying to come in as a new face, a new kid on the block. So he is coming in as someone who wants to change things and who wants to restart a new and fresh leadership in the country. Because if you look at mostly the other candidates, they've been there. So if you listen even to his campaign, you'll hear him say, these are people whom we are just recycling and recycling. So he's presenting himself as an option, a new option in the market, where Kenyans can get a new leader, a new version of leadership in the country, to see maybe kama anaweza fanya kitu kizuri to move the country forward. Also, he's coming in with a lot of complaints of corruption, and he's out to make sure that corruption does not go ahead, and that means Kenyans probably will have enough money to sustain themselves, to sustain their economy. So he's a new face, and we are really listening and trying to see if probably he's true to his word.
Yeah, you see, Wajakoya is first, he is a lawyer, and he is a man of cloth. We know that.
Yeah.
And I believe, I want to, do you think him being a man of cloth, can it play for him? Like, he doesn't need to do a lot of campaigns while we are having quite a number of churches around, spread all over the country. So he's actually capitalizing, can we say like he's capitalizing on the numbers in the church instead of actually going extreme for him to campaign across the country?
I think you're referring to Wahiga Maure, yeah.
Yes.
Wahiga Maure is a man of the cloth, but you brought up a very nice issue. You know, there is this assumption that when you can pull crowds in your church, or you can pull crowds in your crusades, you can also pull crowds to your to election.
Definitely,
I'll give you a practical example. There was a time when, sorry to say this, but it's in good faith.
Yes.
There was a time when a very senior man of God in this nation, Pastor, I don't know if he's now Bishop. What is his name?
Is it Pius Muiru?
Pius, yes. Pius Muiru.
Yes.
He could pull crowds in his crusade, and people would come in big numbers. I think that got into his head, and he was kind of convinced that probably he could also pull the whole nation to his direction, and he could maybe win an election. So he stood up for the presidency. Surprisingly, even the so-called followers never voted for him.
But don't you think, like, if this is a man of cloth, we expect him to be a person of high integrity, that he can actually, when he goes to that office, he'll be able to clean up all the messes that are in this country?
Yeah, you can look at it in that perspective. But let me tell you, Kenyans are a very unique breed of people, because I believe, and I know, in every election we've had in this country, there is always that one leader who stands up for the people.
Yes.
But he is never elected. So you would put David as that leader who really stands out for the people, but you know, vile most Kenyan wanasema, huyu hata nikimpigia kura yangu hatapita. You see, failing to understand that if that vote ambao wanasema hutampigia, kama ungeiunganisha na ile ingine, he would be the leader tomorrow.
Yeah.
So the problem ni kwamba wa Kenya, they really cry for leadership, but whenever there is a reliable leadership on the ballot, they won't go for him. They'll go for someone else. And then church matters are different from politics. So people may be with you in regards to the spiritual matters, but when it comes to politics, they have their own opinion. So you find that the numbers that you might think they are around you, the numbers that you might think that support you, the churches that you might think they'll stand in for you, they're not there, because you are trading at a very different level, spiritual and political.
So in your view, you think that Wajakoya has not done enough in terms
David Maure.
That is David Maure,
yeah,
has not done enough in terms of doing the campaigns and convincing the Mwananchi to vote for him.
With the Kenyan politics, you must hit down to the ground and make sure you are reaching out to the people, speaking to them, listening to them, and I don't think he has done enough.
What about his manifesto?
His manifesto is all about.
Is it enticing? Can it actually attract some votes for him?
I haven't seen something unique in it that can maybe cause any kind of attraction.
Like he was talking about reducing the taxes, making sure that, in fact, he said that he will do away with the VAT.
Let me tell you, some of these things are being said, but on executing them is not an easy task. Because when you talk about reducing taxes, when you talk about doing away with certain taxes, this is the same revenue you need for you to sustain the government, for you to sustain the budget. So when you just say you'll do away with it, how are you going to do away with it? How will you sustain the gaps that will be left by taking away such taxes? So if you are not able to explain such, then tutasikiza tu kama it's a campaign strategy and natakuachilia pale, okay? If you have a way on which you can take away taxes and find a way to raise the funds, then you need to bring it out clearly, okay? To me, I haven't seen something that stands out that is enticing and exciting ambayo ukiangalia unasema I need to listen to this man.
Yeah.
Okay? So it's just a normal manifesto that we expect from any politician. I'll take care of the taxes will be less, I'll take care of your situations, what and what. That's all.
So in out of 100, unaona huyu Mwaure, out of 100%, what are his chances of winning the election?
Wow, that's a tricky one. Because for you to win an election in Kenya, the stakes are so high. So to me, I'll give him maybe a 5%.
5% out of 100.
Out of 100.
Okay, wacha tumwache huyo. Kuna rafiki yetu hapa anaitwa William Samoei Ruto.
Yeah.
I know Ruto is someone who has really run across the whole country.
Yeah.
Because unlike David Mwaure mwenye umesema, he's not gone across the country trying to convince his voters so that they can vote for him. Now, William Ruto is a person that I know he has a track record in terms of traversing the whole country, east, west, south and north. And he's been all over and he started early. What do you think about his strategy?
William Ruto really took his time to plan himself on what he wants to achieve. And he set his target so well, his narrative so well, and then he got down early into campaigns. Though some people walikuwa nasema wewe ukiherehere nini, but yeye alikuwa anajua ni nini anataka kwa ground. So William Ruto is coming up with a narrative of trying to stand up with the less fortunate, the less fortunate people in the society, coming up with a narrative of uplifting up lives for the poor, okay? And that narrative is sinking in so well because most of the people in the nation now are going through tough times. They feel left out. They feel like the government is not helping them. So as he comes in with such a thing, it seems like to many people seems like he might be our savior. He might relieve us of this burden. So that's why you see most people are into his narrative, and they are even buying the idea that he has, and they believe it's going to happen. But you know, having an idea and execution are two different things. So to me, first, for William Ruto, he has done a hell of a campaign.
Do you think he's been able to explain the hustler narrative? Like, do we know now, do we understand the term hustler, what it means or what it stands for? And the term bottom up, what it means and what it stands for? Because some of us just run around with the term hustler without understanding whatever it is. I'm not sure if he's been able to convince his voters or the people who are likely to vote for him that hustler means this and bottom up means this.
On the hustler narrative, I think he has done well. On the ground, hustler narrative is well understood. It's all about the weak, the less fortunate, the poor. That Mama Mboga on the ground. He's done so well on the hustler narrative. That one, 100% is done well. But where the problem comes in is the bottom up. This is an issue that even his own, let me say, kitchen cabinet have not been able to explain it. We've seen some of I don't want to mention names, but we've seen some of his closest friends being questioned on the bottom up agenda, and they are not able to explain it. So as it is, okay, it may be something good, but has not been brought out so well. starting from his close political friends, his close allies. They've not been able to bring it up well. Probably labda yeye tu ndio amejaribu kuiongelea vizuri, but most of the people around him really don't have not really mastered it. So
it's not likely to play for him in terms of getting the votes, right?
I think the thing that is going to make him stand out, or one issue that's going to help him get votes, is the hustler narrative. Hustler narrative is still part of the bottom-up idea, but now bringing it out, upande wake wameshindwa. Most of wale watu ambao we expect wawe wako nayo kwa fingertips zao, they've not been able to bring it out so well. But now the hustler narrative is going to play a big round on
I think that has been quite a wave.
Yes.
And there are some allegations about him failing in his duty as the second in command in this country. Like he's the second in command, and he abandoned, it said that he abandoned his duties to now go and do his campaigns early enough. And when he broke off from actually helping the president, now it is also playing against him. Do you think the voter is considering that this is a person who abandons duty and is likely to fail them along the way?
First of all, politics is a game of chances. And if you are a politician, you always weigh your chances. To me, I believe William Ruto took time and weighed his chances in Jubilee. And he was completely convinced that I don't have a chance here. He had a vision, and he had things he wanted to accomplish and to achieve. So he realized that if I continue attaching myself to this political party, I'm going to sink. I might not be able to achieve what I want. That's why he stepped out early, because he knew he'll be fighting a more powerful force. So I have to start fighting it early, in that by the time tufike kwa election nitakuwa nimemanage kuitingiza. That's why unamfeel kwa ground ako vile ako sahi. Okay? In terms of service delivery, Ruto hajakuwa kwa serikali just by being a vice president. He's been in the government early before. He has his records on performance, and even when he was the vice president, he also has his record. And in most of his campaigns, unamsikia akisema, we did this, we achieved this, okay? So on matters to do with delivering to the people, I don't think if it's a big problem, okay? Delivering to the people might not be a problem. But now the problem is, when it comes to politics, people turn around even something that is positive to be negative on your side. So they are hitting him with with the fact that alikuwa vice president and he stepped out and started campaigning. That is a political strategy, just to hit him, so that
it's true that he left the government immediately after the second term. They were sworn in for the second term. It just took a few weeks or months, and then he walked out of government, and he was actually operating from the sides.
I told you it's about chances. There was no chance for him. Alikuwa amesoma, akaangalia hii weather, haya manyunyu, hii mvua itaninyeshea. Kabla ininyeshee, lazima niendelee na mipango zangu, kwa sababu yeye alikuwa na mipango, alikuwa nayo. Alikuwa shapangilia kwamba I'm going for the presidency. Whether I have the support of the president or not, I'm going for the presidency. So he started doing his calculations early. Na akapata calculations zake, anajaribu kuuliza president nani haingii. Okay? So akajua hapa, I'm out. So he had to step out. It was the right thing for him politically. If not so, he would not be this. He would not have made the impact we are talking about. But the only problem that is here is that when he stepped out, he still held onto the office. Okay?
Yeah,
that's the only problem I have with him, in that when he felt that the government he was serving was not good for him, or was not helping him achieve whatever he wanted, Then he chose that he's going to start his campaigns early, or he chose he's going to for the presidency no matter what. If he opted to start the campaign as early as he chose to do it, then he would have just done the need and stepped out of the office.
Do you think if we were in the era of Moi, or the last constitution that we were applying, President Uhuru would have just sacked him?
To me, first, let me say, although we would have had the authority to take that action, I look at President Uhuru as a gentleman. He's a guy whom you can go so far with him, amuelewani, but he still accommodates you. So I don't think he could have done that.
He will still have accommodated.
He will still have accommodated. If he has done it up to now, I think he will still have accommodated him.
You don't think that he would have actually appointed another person? Because you see, after Ruto left, or he abandoned the duty, as it's alleged, there are other people who came to surround President Uhuru, and that is, one of them is Mr. Raila Odinga, another one is Matiang'i, another one is the NNS boss, you see. So if it was the eras of Moi would just sack you in the morning, he appoints another person in the evening.
You know, apart from saying that the president is a gentleman, you know, every action you do in politics, you also have to look beyond the action. What impact will it have on your political life? Okay? So I don't think if sacking Ruto would have played well on his political life. You know, Uhuru is still young, and Uhuru will be in politics, whether we like it or not. He'll be involved in it, whether behind the scenes or in the presence of everyone. He will be involved.
Save that for another discussion, because I want us to discuss that Uhuru factor later on, maybe in the next show.
So he would still not sack him, keeping in mind of his political ambitions or political interests. He must make sure, because as it is now, the fact that Ruto stepped out to do campaigns and kind of left his office is working against him. Okay, so strategically, when it comes to politics, it is working for the benefit of the other side.
Okay, if we were to hold this, or the upcoming election that we are going to have in this country,
yes,
what are the chances of Ruto winning this thing out of 100%? What is your verdict?
So out of 100,
yes.
Out of 100, I'll give him 40%. 40%. Yes.
So Mwaure, you're giving 5%.
Yes.
Ruto, you're giving 40%.
Yes.
So we're having another 55% remaining.
Yes.
And I want us to look at George Wajakoya Oluchiri.
The controversial
The
one.
controversial, is it a Rasta man? Natural. They say natural.
Wajakoya.
Yes. Now, Wajakoya came up with a very interesting manifesto, and one of the key areas he was highlighting was giving holidays. Like we work 4 days in this country, then the rest of the week we are actually resting. Another one is rearing of snakes, so that we can sell the snakes for food, and also the venom. And then we also had him talking about bang, that is planting it for cash crop. And we also had him talking about the bonds. So, what do you think about the manifesto? You just talk about the manifesto shortly.
You know Wajakoya came up with a manifesto, a narrative that he knew is going to be hyped without him even spending anything. So he came up with a narrative that is going to be talked about by everyone.
Yes.
Without him even being involved. And that has been trending all over. When you talk of Wajakoya, you talk of the bang, the snakes, the dog meat,
the hyenas.
The hyenas, and you talk about the hanging of the corrupt.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
But with the Wajakoya manifesto, I love it because it is realistic. It is realistic. That is the
Did
only.
you say you love it?
I love it because it's realistic.
Originality
To
of
mean,
it.
to mean that this is someone who tells you, I'll give you 10,000, and he also shows you how you'll get the 10,000 for him to give you.
But is it realistic that you
It
can
is very
bear?
realistic because these are things that are happening all over the world. Okay. Now the only challenge that is here is now executing the items that he has listed in his manifesto. If he is able to execute all that, I believe it's a nice one.
How long do you think, like, if we were to make bang a cash crop, how long do you think it will take for us to now convert it into money after actually approving it as a cash crop in this country?
You know, in business, you don't go ahead and approve something before you have the market. So the first thing I believe we'll have to do first is to secure the market.
So that means we are starting afresh. Like we have a manifesto that we want to, like everything on that, almost everything on that manifesto, it is brand new. There is nothing that I see him talking about that is existing.
It is.
For example, he says that he's going to abolish even the constitution of Kenya. So we have to come up with a new constitution. He says, he talks about rearing the mafisi. Timu mafisi hii country wataisha because sasa tumekuwa na matimu mafisi, sasa tutaanza kuona timu mafisi unachukua fisi unaweka kwa nyumba.
No, it's okay. I'll say it's something maybe new in this country, but it's something. These are things that are happening all over the world. Okay, and you know, in life you learn from each other. Okay, you benchmark from other people. You learn, you come execute, and you find you are achieving something good. I was listening to a certain analyst na alikuwa anasema Kenya we have good policies, we have good structures, and some countries come and borrow our structures, our policies, and they go out there, they execute them, and they work so well. So the problem in Kenya is the execution. But we have the best ideas. Like this one is a very good idea, so if executed properly, with the right guidelines, with the right rules, with the right with the respective stakeholders stepping in and doing their duties properly. This is a very good idea, but I know it will take some time for it to start materializing.
So do you mean there is someone who has been listening to this idea of Wajakoya? And if Wajakoya is not going to be the president of this country, he's going to carry that idea and take go to implement it to their country, within their country, so that it can actually be beneficial to them. Is it likely that there is someone who can actually carry that idea?
Leave alone that,
Because you say most of them are implemented out of this
country. I'm hoping if Wajakoya doesn't win the election, I'm hoping whoever wins looks into this. That's what I'm hoping. That this will not just be thrown out because it looks funny. You see? Because the problem here, people took this idea as a funny thing. They did not take it as something serious. But I'm hoping and praying whoever wins, if it's not Wajakoya, should take time and look into these ideas. They are so much achievable, and if we can just lay down the foundation properly, we can achieve and get something from it. Even having said that, I've told you earlier, the rearing of snakes and dog meat and whatever. For him to mention these things, it's because there is already a market out there.
Have you seen the market?
There is market. There is market for these things out there. Okay?
Yeah.
There is market. If you do your research, you realize there is market for these items out there.
And you just
So the only thing we need to do is for us to actualize it. So si ati kuna mtu atakuja kuomba hizo policies aenda zifanye kule nje. It's already happening. These are things that are happening.
And the interesting part, you just mentioned that he came up with a manifesto that will be able to trend without even him pushing.
It was a strategy. Probably he did not have the muscles to do the campaign.
I wanted to understand.
Yes.
Because trending means it's something is appealing. Which kind of voter is Wajakoya appealing to? For example, what masses have been moved by this manifesto? Is it the old? Is it the young? Is it the middle age, or all of them, or it cuts across?
I would say it cuts across, but majorly the young, the youth. The youth have really been pulled by this idea, and they have picked it up so well. And knowing that the youth is the largest number in this country, they are the numbers in this country, and if they can be convinced with this, I think Wajakoya might cause a surprise.
Okay, give me your verdict for Wajakoya. If elections, the upcoming elections, if you are going to hold elections, what percent out of 100% is he likely to win?
For Wajakoya, I think he might attract maybe let me say a 7%.
7% is
Yes.
above Maure?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. You know why I'm saying that? It's because
Yes.
he also hasn't hit the ground so much. Only that whatever he came up with, ili trend, yani ilijiuza yenyewe. Ikabaki kila mtu kwa social media, kwa mtaa, vijana wanaongelea those things, unaona? Hata mpaka kwa churches unasikia, you know, when an issue even is being cast in church, wanaikasa, wanasema hii kitu ni mbaya. They are talking about it. Okay? So this idea ilienda yenyewe, ilijiuza yenyewe.
Na there's a camp ilikuwa nasema Wajakoya is a project ya Azimio. Why do you think walikuwa wanasema hivyo, and yet they are actually competing on the same level?
Let me say this. There are things that happen in the political world in which the normal mwananchi doesn't know. There is a certain face that we see as the normal mwananchi, but there is the real face of the things happening in the political world. So, I don't want to say it's true or it's a lie, but in politics, anything is possible. Okay? Anything is possible. Let's leave it at that.
Thank you. We have one more that is remaining, and this is in previous he's been called Enigma, he's been called Hammer, the man called Raila Amolo Odinga, and equally he's been traversing the country.
Yeah.
And he's actually given his shot several times to the presidency without winning.
Yeah.
And this is going to be actually his fifth time to give it a shot.
Yeah.
And he's very hopeful that he's going to win this one. And recently we've seen President Uhuru coming through, and for him actually to support, appealing to people, or the voters to support him, to actually vote in Raila Amolo Odinga. What do you think that the role President Uhuru is playing behind the curtains is going to impact the presidency in case Raila Amolo Odinga wins, or the campaign of Raila Amolo Odinga?
Unajua hata kwa nyumba yako ukiwa na vijana, umezaa vijana kama watatu na unataka kwenda mahali safari, you don't tell all of them that, hey, I'm going away, you are in charge. You look at one who reasons better, or whom his reasoning and your reasoning rhyme. So kwa matu unaweza mwambia, hey boys, you know you are in charge, take care of mama, take care of your sisters, and I'm going on a journey. But you'll call one of them and tell him, listen, make sure everything is in order. Yule mwenye unafeel kwamba akona that wisdom and the ability to lead the others. Okay? So I don't think Uhuru Kenyatta would want to leave the presidency into the hands of someone whom he doesn't believe will serve the interest of the Kenyans kulingana na vile yeye anafikiria ama interest zake kulingana vile yeye anataka.
So umechukulia Uhuru ni kama mzazi na maangalia vijana wake, akaona ule firstborn mwenye alikuwa wake ni mtukutu.
Yes.
Alafu akasema wacha nichukue mtoto wa jirani ama wacha nichukue kijana ambaye nimezaa na mama mwingine nimweke uongozini ama nimsupport ani.
Hawa wote wamekuwa watoto wake tu. Hawa wote wamekuwa watoto wake tu. So ni wakati tu ambao labda alikuwa anafikiria ningepea huyu kijana wangu huyu ambaye tumekuwa karibu sana, nikienda sokoni tunatembea na yeye. Lakini kabla afanye huo uamuzi, huyu kijana wa kwenda soko akaanza kuingiza kiburi labda na kutoelewana na baba, na ikawa sasa baba akasema ni kama nafanya uamuzi usiofaa. Akasema kulingana na vile naona basi huyu ndiye anayeweza kuchukua usukani na endeleze nchi vile nadhania ama vile natamani. Okay? So he is making sure that whoever he leaves to power is someone who will be able to do what he wishes to be done for the sake of the country, or for the sake of his legacy, or for the sake of the projects or whatever he had laid on the ground for the people of Kenya. So to me, na feel ako interested in that manner. Na pia he still wants to get involved in politics. Maybe at a distant level, but he still also wants to be involved in politics, in that he can be able kind of to call some shots. So he is making sure that
I see
whoever
talking the same language with some quarters.
No,
like
let me tell you, it's the
only
reality.
thing you didn't call there is a remote.
It's the reality. It's the reality. Politics nikwambia ni chances. You play with your chances.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
If this side gives you the chance, you go for it. If this side does not give you the chance, you let it be. Okay?
Yes.
So he is taking his chances also to make sure that he also remains relevant.
And you think Raila's quota, the campaign quota, has done enough in terms of actually moving a voter to believe that his manifesto and his style of leadership will benefit the country if he is elected to be the president of this country? Do you think his machinery and his the campaign team has done enough? Because you have only a few days and he's one of the most hopeful people to win this election, and him doing it maybe for his last time, do you think, because it's a do or die now, do you think he's going to get it?
Raila has been in this thing for some time. He knows how, and he knows when, and he knows where. And I believe he's done for the how many, do I say 50 years?
Yes.
He's done his homework well. Ukiangalia vizuri hapo nyuma, campaign za Raila zilikuwa campaign ambazo zilikuwa na fujo. Vijana wanaleta kelele, sijui nani amepigwa, sijui nini imefanyika, sijui. They used to have a lot of issues. But ukiangalia campaign za Raila saa hii zimetulia. Game yake imebadilika kabisa. Now to my surprise, the other team ndio sasa wamegeuka watu wa kupiga kelele mingi. But ukiangalia pande ya Raila, they are now relaxed.
Can we say maybe hii kelele mingi inakuanga ya vijana wako na ile msukumo, alafu wakikuja kwa wazee they relax a bit in their way of doing things?
Wacha nikwambie, kwa siasa ukisikia kelele inapigwa, kuna volume imefunguliwa, kelele ipigwe. People will not just make noise for you. You have to make them make noise. So ukisikia hakuna kelele ni kwa sababu they have not been made to make noise. Na ukisikia kuna kelele ujue kwamba they've been made to make noise. So ukisikia that sahi most of his campaigns zinakaa ni kama zimetulia, si zile ile design ya kitambo. Ukisikia jamaa anakuja, kuna vijana kama 200 watakuja like wako mbele yake wa jamaa kama, na wanakuja ile design, unaangalia nasema mazee hapa acha niokoe maisha. It is because he's just changed his strategy. He's handling things differently. I think he's focused on the real issues now, on how to win an election. You know, sometimes you may pull masses, but you not win an election.
And coming to the running mate, huyo Azimio, hiyo pick ya mama kukua the running mate, and you know that that's a woman with a track record. Mpaka kuna wakati walikuwa wanamuita the Iron Lady.
Yeah.
Now you know she's a person who stands with her word, and it has been perceived in the political arena that that pick that he did, it is one of the causes that he is actually trying to be ahead of his competitors.
You have to do your mathematics well. You have to calculate your steps well, because there has been the narrative of the woman gender. Hiyo gender imekuwa ikileta kind of a narrative like it is time they need to be considered, that they have the numbers. There has been a lot that has been going on in terms of the female gender. And I think some people look at it as in kuna watu hata nimesikia akisema that he made a mistake by appointing mother. But to me, I think he was very strategic by appointing mother, because mother,
you think is going to help him to
very much, because if you look at the so-called the women who call shots in this country, they are behind him, and they are making up campaigns, they are making up forums, seminars to woo the women to come in and vote for Baba. So to me, him choosing Martha Karua, he did a very wise decision. And I was also looking for, and even if you check generally in the country, most of the seats that need a running mate, most people have chosen a woman to be the running mate, because there is something they are targeting. Women have numbers. Women have numbers, and if you can secure those numbers, then you have made a difference on your basket. Okay, you've added something into your basket.
Well, we hope maybe it's going to play for him, but equally the other three candidates have mothers or women who are running as the running mates. So why is he ahead of them?
You just called her the Iron Lady. She's been here. She's done it. She's seen it. She's been.
So we are talking in the.
This is a refined
basis of experience.
Experience. She's refined and she knows how to do these things, and she commands some respect all over the country and all over the world. So you know that's a package for you.
Well, give me a verdict on Raila's chances of winning out of 100%.
Raila's chances of winning this election, I'll put it at probably 43%.
43%.
Yes.
So if this means, from your verdict, from your analysis,
yes,
you have looked around and you've crowned Raila the president.
No. For one to be a president, I must win 50 plus 1.
50 plus 1%. Yeah.
So he's not.
So what is going to happen here? Because now, for example, if you are in charge of this election,
yes,
and now and your mind is still the one that is voting,
yes,
what mathematics are we going to do here so that we have a president?
We'll have to go to a rerun.
It means we haven't gotten a president. So
we'll have to go for a rerun. We'll have to go for a rerun, and that means number 1 and 2 will go for a rerun, and whoever wins now becomes the president.
Well, I think let's leave alone the 4 presidential candidates, and I want us to delve into, we want to look at the Nairobi gubernatorial seat.
Yeah.
Now we have only 2 candidates for that, and one is Sakaja,
Yeah.
and another one is
Igade.
Igade.
Yeah.
Now, Sakaja is someone who's been in the political arena for some time,
Yeah.
and is believed to have been trained or has actually grown under Ruto's wings.
Yeah.
And when you look at Igade, he's someone who has come from the corporate landscape, and now he's been installed to be the running, actually the candidate for Azimio. And before that, Azimio had another choice that they could have chosen, which comes from actually political landscape. That is Wanyonyi, Tim Wanyonyi.
Yeah.
Why do you think Azimio decided to sideline Tim Wanyonyi and propose to take Igade for this seat?
This is an interesting one because you know, in politics we always say that you go for the candidate who commands the most numbers. And to me, if we check into Nairobi, for governor, the candidates who would stand out in that area would have been Tim Wanyonyi and Sakaja, because these guys have been in Nairobi and they have worked, and people can see what they are capable of. And everyone knew and everyone expected that it's going to be Sakaja and Tim Wanyonyi. But and even Tim had submitted himself for that position. But through the conversation that was going on, that's why nilikwambia kwa siasa kuna vitu sisi tunaona kama wananchi wa kawaida na kuna yale yanafanyika kule nyuma. So we saw Tim Wanyonyi present himself. But after some few days tukapata the name that is coming up is something very different.
In fact, there is a candidate who was really coming up under Jubilee, who is called Ngatia.
Yes.
He had actually done so many posters and many billboards around.
Yes.
I was like, this guy is the guy, the next guy.
Now that's where the narrative becomes interesting.
Just came from nowhere.
That's now where the narrative becomes more interesting, because there was Ngatia, there was Tim Wanyonyi. These are politicians aligned to Azimio, okay? But surprisingly, they chose Igade. Now, let me tell you something here. In politics, you may go for the numbers. And sometimes, in politics, you go for what you want to deliver or what you want to achieve. To me, in regards to what I feel about all these nominations or appointments into these candidates, I feel the Azimio side, I don't want to mention the government, the Azimio side, or there are certain people or there are certain quarters who have a specific agenda they want to deliver or to execute in Nairobi. And when you want to execute something in a certain place, you must make sure that whoever is in position is able to listen to you and do as you want.
So do you mean that they are trying to look at the loyalty factor?
I'm not talking about loyalty, and I don't want to get involved in loyalty matters.
I see you're becoming careful with your
I really want to be careful, and I hope I'll be. I think there are people who want to execute something within the city or within Nairobi County, and they feel that for them to achieve, they need a specific certain person in that position who will be able to listen, who will be able to adhere, and who will be able to do exactly what they want done. And through that, they had to find a way to talk to Tim and tell him, listen, just give us some space.
And I remember it was not easy for Tim to back
It wasn't easy. He was commanding the crowds in Nairobi. He was commanding the numbers in Nairobi. How would you step down and you're seeing hapa niko na nafasi kabisa hapa? Because to me, the only fair competition we would have had was between Sagaja and Tim. But when now Igade comes in, another question comes in. How will this man get the numbers? Because let's be sincere, he doesn't have the numbers.
So
neither does his running mate has numbers.
So you said that Igade doesn't have numbers.
He doesn't have numbers. That's a fact.
That means his campaign team or his party has not done enough to convince Mwananchi that they can actually take Igade for this seat to manage Nairobi.
Aye. Now, let me tell you.
Because I think that's what you mean.
Let me tell you, when you choose someone who will execute what you want, other than the numbers, other than someone who has the numbers to give you the seat, then you also have to find a way to make that person be that position.
Well, our listeners, you've heard our guest. Ameongea hapa. That is his own personal opinion.
Yes.
He's had his last word. And in his conversation, I've engaged him and I've seen he's given his verdict, and he's giving Mauref only 5% chances of winning. He's given William Ruto 40% chances of winning. He's given Wajakoya 7% chances of winning. I thought this Wajakoya will get maybe, let's say, 25% or something, but he actually narrowed him down to 7%. And he gave the Enigma or Raila Odinga 43%. What do you think from your view? I think for our guest has had his say, and now we want to look at the gubernatorial.
The voter.
The voter. We want to look at the voter. What is the voter say? Because we want to look at what is the feeling of the voter on the ground. Because the voter is the person who matters the winning of the election or the failing. Nani atenda nyumbani, nani atabeba hii kitu. Mr. Max.
Yes.
We have the voter. Tumeongelea presidential candidates, tumeongelea gubernatorial wa Nairobi. What do you think in the mind of the voter sahi? What do you think they are going to do?
The Kenyan voter, as we speak now, is very much unpredictable. Looking into some previous by-elections that we had, there were times in areas where we felt probably that ODM was dominant. And during those by-elections, ulikuwa unapata UDA imeshinda. Okay? Kuna mahali zingine ulikuwa unapata kwamba the UDA party imepitch camp kabisa, imepiga campaign hiyo mahali, imesolicit voters kabisa. But when it comes to voting, unashtukia ODM wameshinda. And there is one ambaye ilifanyika mpaka I think the vice president had to go back akawaambia nyinyi hamnibebi vizuri. Wakati mnanihitaji I come through, when I need you are not coming, you are not doing it for me. So the Kenyan voter sahi is a very complicated person. Si kama kitambo ambao walikuwa wanakuwa tu wanaenda into groups and they swing and they so go to one side. No. If you go by those by-elections, you realize that the voter is kind of independent in decision making, other than previously wakati walikuwa wanaenda tu na umati.
Okay, kuna wakati tumekuwa na voters being enticed na hizo tokens. Unapata politicians go to an area, so trying to win a voter's mind, they go there with the tokens so that they can convince the voter. Do you think currently hiyo token sasa ina convince mwananchi ama ina convince ule voter the way ata vote on that ballot box?
I don't think, because it has happened before and it did not work. In some of those scenarios nimekwambia, it happened, and because unajua zilikuwa by elections, so the concentration area ilikuwa kidogo. So I think
yes,
it has happened before, and looking at the scenarios ambazo nimekwambia, it did not work. The concentration area was too small, and that means the packaging and the tokens was very high. But to the surprise of some of the parties, they came out and realized that they had lost, even having done a lot. So to me, I don't think if the tokens are working now. because the Kenyan voter has realized that these people need to work for him. It's not like these people are doing them a favor. So they still feel, they've come to an understanding that they have the right to make a decision in regards to whoever they choose to vote into office. So the tokens will come, the tokens will be consumed.
So you
But
mean
the
that,
voter, I feel, there is still there is some level of independence in his or her decision making.
so you trying to mean that size the caliber of the voter that we are having, they are able to look into the manifesto of each and every individual and go as per the manifesto, we also still sidelined in terms of tribal lines, in terms of maybe age groups and all that?
To some level, there is still that breed of voters who still go with the tribal lines and with they swing with the crowds. But there is a number of voters who are now coming in with a sober mind, trying to look at what is being offered in terms of the manifesto and in terms of the narrative around and in terms of the performance history, and they make those decisions in regards to such matters.
Yes.
Not just focusing on the tribal lines or age or whatever. So we still have that issue of tribal lines. You are eager to talk very soon. We still have it, but it is transitioning. Pole pole. People are now becoming somehow independent in their voting.
Is it because of the voter education or awareness that has been done, or the voter is just becoming intelligent every day on their own? What is happening that now we are getting a shift from the normal, the normal culture whereby the voter will look at unatuletea nini, na sai ina change, like the voter has that independence to decide mimi nataka kupigia huyu, because right now as we hear, it is not possible like to do as a six-piece suit, like anywhere uende na upate wana choose from MCA mpaka president ni one party. Do you think it's because of education ama voter wameanza tu wenyewe ku decide in that manner?
First I say some of these voters have been around for some time, and they've seen these leaders and they've heard them and they voted for them previously and they've seen what they've done. So kwa njia moja ama nyingine mpiga kura amerevuka kwamba these people when they come, hii kelele wanapiga yote and all these promises are not real. It is just a manner of trying to campaign and get themselves into office. Also, the voter, like now, the voter is going through a very tough time, okay? And he has suffered for a long time. Through the suffering, unajua wakati mwingine unapitianga shida mpaka unachanuka. So the voter amepitia hali until akaanza kujiuliza maswali, okay? What did I do wrong that I'm in this situation? So some voters have come to realize that through their kind of voting or through their kind of leaders that are in the office is the reason why they are going through the suffering. And if you check very clearly, the first year ambayo tulipigia governors kura, very few governors walirudi kwa ofisi. Kwa sababu gani? Unaangalia kaunti zingine zimeendelea, people have developed, people have grown, people are enjoying the uzuri wa counties, but others are still suffering. So people realize, kumbe these people are supposed to work for us.
So hii kitu ilikuja inaitwa devolution. Unafikiria inaweza kuwa imemotivate hiyo development of some other counties zingine has developed?
Very much. Sahi, I think ime open up the normal mwananchi so much kuelewa kwamba there are things ambazo anafaa afanyiwe, whether alimpigia kura ama hakumpigia, whether yeye ni nani ama na hold position ama hold position, kuna vitu ana deserve without being biased of whichever party or whichever tribe they are coming from. So the revolution thing has really opened up people. And like sahi, what has been trending ni kutengeneza mabarabara. I can assure you kama kuna MP ama gavana ambaye hajanyorosha barabara areas zake anaenda home. Lakini mtanaishi nimeamka asubuhi nikapata barabara ile inapita tu hapo kando, ilikuwa imejaa tu takataka, nimepata imelimwa.
Kwa hivyo wewe amepoteza kura yako live.
Sitasema, lakini
umeshasema.
I want to believe sahi if you've not worked,
Yes,
especially on the road, because ukiangalia mtu anatoka mtaa hii akienda hii mtaa anapata barabara zimenyoroshwa ni safi, anakuja mtaa yao bado anakanyaga matope, anauliza kwani huyu mpira anafanyanga aje na huyu anafanyaje? Okay, so if you've not worked for your people, I can tell you you are going home.
Well, msikilizaji, huko kwenu bado unakanyaga matope, unakutana na takataka kwa barabara ukitembea, kura yako utapigia nani? Siku chache tu tutakuwa tunapiga kura. And we've had our brother here, Maxwell, breaking it down for us on The Last Word. And this is Maxton Radio. I've been your host, Charlton. And I want our guests just to have one last word to the voter and one last word to the candidates. Mr. Max.
Oh, let me start with the candidates. The only thing I'll urge any candidate in whichever position that they are standing in for. I know we may have our own personal interests, but let us look at the situation that the nation is in, and let us look at the situation the people of this country are going through, and let us also accept that none of this needs to be happening to our people.
Yes.
And if you are true to this nation, and if you are a true son or a true daughter to this nation, then kindly put the interests of the people before anything else. They are the ones who are going to vote you in, and they are the ones who have the ability to vote you out. As you step up to seek an office, stand up and serve the people of this country. And to the voter, we've had them, we've seen them, and we know what they stand for. But the one question I want to ask you is, we've seen a lot of resources being used during this time of campaign. Ask yourself, where did these resources come from? Ask yourself, when it was biting, when it was so hard, when it was so tough, where were these resources? Are these leaders for real? Or are they just after themselves? You can gauge them, you can look into each and every leader, and you can make a decision kulingana na vile wewe unaelewa. At the end of the day, you are the decision maker.
Indeed, you are the decision maker. Mgeni wetu ametuambia hivyo, na wewe mwenyewe songa mahali, jiulize maswali. If I'm going for an election, naenda kupiga kura, napigia nani na ni kwa nini? If you have a vote, please make it count, because if you don't make it count, then it goes as unvoted one. So you need to look into this issue critically. Political rallies, are you needed there? Are you needed there to cause chaos, or unaenda tukusikiza kwa amani alafu urudi nyumbani? Vote wisely, make sure you stay safe, away from chaos, away from being used. Don't allow yourself to be used, because if you get used and then you get into the hands of the law, you know what will happen. Wakati itakuwa ina happen, ule political candidate wako hatakuwa karibu. We've had Papa Max break it down one by one, and now we want to close the show, The Last Word. I've been your host, Tony. Thank you.